that. So Wednesday is going to be my day.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to the February 4, 2025 Landmark Preservation Commission meeting. I am bringing the meeting to order at 1:01 p.m. And welcome to everybody here in person and who are joining us online. Do we have instructions? Sorry, that's okay. So I'll begin the meeting with giving audio tips to the virtual participants. For better sound quality, we strongly encourage you to download Zoom on your desktop, laptop, tablet, or mobile device. You can click audio settings to bring up an additional menu. You can add a background noise suppression. You can test your speaker and microphone, adjust the maximum output volumes. For presenters or public commenters, when it is your turn to speak, to mute or unmute, click on the microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Expanding the menu next to the microphone will reveal additional options. Select your speaker and microphone devices. You can test your microphone and speakers, adjust the maximum output volumes. And if you still have audio challenges, you can switch to phone or audio. So hopefully at this point you can all hear us. So we'll begin with introduction of the commissioners. My name is Julie Johnson. I am a Historic Preservation Project Manager, and I was nominated by the community at large. George, you wanna?
Hello, I'm George Dennis, retired law enforcement. I was nominated by History Colorado.
Emily Hazen, preservationist designer, nominated by City Planning.
I'm Nick Fusianis. I'm an architect and a developer, and I was nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
I'm Rusty Brown, also an architect and also nominated by AIA.
My name is Chris McGinnis. I'm a forensic architect and I was nominated by the mayor's office.
And I'm Brittany Bryant, Denver Landmark Preservation staff.
Thanks, everybody. All of the commissioners are here in person today. We are allowed to have at least 2 on virtual, but everybody's here in person today, so that's great. First we have meeting records, but we actually don't have any meeting records for approval. So we're on to public comment. And this is limited to 2 minutes per person. And members of the public have up to 2 minutes each for comments about historic preservation in general and the items on the design review agenda, business items and discussion items. Further comments on these topics will not be taken later in the meeting unless allowed by the chair. So that's a new thing. So if you all are waiting to make comments after the design review project has been announced, then you need to make those comments right now as soon as we open public comments. So for public hearing items, and we don't have any of those today, but just in case we did, members would have up to 3 minutes each to comment on those applications. So before I begin with see if there's any public comment on any of the projects that we're hearing later today, we had to take 324 North Corona Street off of the design review. So we will not be getting public comments for that today, and as well.
Yeah, the Voorhees Memorial has also been withdrawn by the applicant. We are not sure when the Voorhees Memorial application will return, but if you're here for 324 Corona Street, it will be on the February 18th agenda.
Okay, great. All righty, then let's open the public comment period. Anybody here? All right, sir, if you would like to come to the desk and have a seat, give us your name and we'll give you 2 minutes to make a comment.
Hi, thank you for having us. Keith Pryor, Curtis Park Design Review Chair, talking about 2557 Scout Street. This is back before you. You had previously denied this application. The applicant has worked very diligently with staff and also on refining this design and really addressing the concerns that the commission has. Staff has recommended approval for this design with the rework that they have done. They have been very diligent and listened, and they've come back with a new application and really have addressed all of the 6 concerns that the commission has. Curtis Park Design Review did submit its original letter and was in support of this project, and with the new designs, we are still in support of this project and does ask the commission to approve this project as presented. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that wishes to make a public comment? Taylor, do we have anybody online that's waiting to make a comment? You can raise your little hand button. Doesn't look like it?
And just a reminder, we won't take public comment any other time, so if you do, now is the time.
No, it's fine. Doesn't look like it though.
Great.
Okay, great. Then let us go on to the consent agenda. These are routine design, I reviewed items which meet the design and guidelines and are recommended for commission approval without discussion. Any commission member can request that an item comes off the consent agenda and be moved to the design review list. So if you are waiting, if you're here in person or online or waiting to see if your item is approved in the consent agenda and it is approved, then you will just, you can leave the meeting at that point and just work with your landmark preservation staff to receive a certificate of appropriateness, and then you can go on with your project. The chair will announce the consent agenda by address. The chair can ask the commissioners' desire to remove any items from the consent agenda. Commission members need to announce any ex parte contacts and conflicts of interest on any of the items. The commission will make a motion and vote. And like I said before, if your project is approved on consent, you can leave the meeting. All right, so it's a long list. Here I go. 2025-COA-031 at 1212 La Pan Street, La Alma Lincoln Park. 2024-TAXC-009 at 2535 Champa Street in Curtis Park. 2025-TAXC-001 at 760 Columbine and East 7th Avenue. 2025-TAXC at 003 at 135 Humboldt Street in the Country Club District. 2024-TAXC-019 at 4775 East 6th Avenue Parkway, the Dougal Farmhouse. 2024-TAXC-017 620 North Ogden Street, East 7th Avenue District. 2025-TAXC-004 at 1333-1335 North High Street in Wyman. 2025-TAXC-005 at 135 North Elati Street in Baker. 2025-TAXC at 006 2432 Stout Street in Curtis Park A. And 2025-TAXC-007 at 727 Marion Street, East 7th Avenue. All right, commissioners, anybody have anything that they want to drag off for the design review? No? Okay. Any conflicts of interest or, okay. All right, then do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Madam Chair, I move that the consent agenda be approved as read.
Thank you, George. Do I hear a second? Emily has seconded. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, the consent agenda has been approved. Thanks, staff. I know this is a long list and I know it's a lot of work for y'all, so thanks very much. Let's go on into our design review projects then. The chair will announce the design review items on the agenda in order by address, and the commission members again will have to announce any ex parte conflicts of interest if they have. Staff will introduce the application and make a recommendation, and that's limited to 10 minutes. Commissioners can question staff. The applicant presentation will follow. It is limited to 10 minutes. Commissioners may question the applicant. Staff clarifies if necessary. The commission will deliberate and the commission will make. All right, our first item on the agenda is 2025-COA-050 at 2557 Stout Street in Curtis Park, and Brittany is our staff person in charge.
So our first application is for alterations to a contributing structure in the Curtis Park D Historic District. Here is an old photograph of the home on the screen. The commission did previously review alterations in an ADU to this property in December of last year. However, at the time, the commission did have some concerns over some of the proposed design elements. As you've heard from public testimony, those items have been revised, and we'll go over the revisions today. Also in December, the commission did approve a tax credit application for this house. And I say this is an old photograph now because most of the teal paint has been removed from the property at this point. This is a corner property, as you can see in this aerial image here. It does have a fairly shallow rear yard, but large side yard to the north, which is along the secondary street at 26. The application is for a rear addition along the west side of the home and south side of the home, and a new accessory dwelling unit on the northwest corner of the property, as you can see from this site plan. There are also a site wall proposed that will be a brick site wall. If you can see my cursor, the brick site wall is set back minimally from the front facade along the north elevation. And then also at the bay on the south elevation, and in the front yard, there will be a low open metal fencing. So part of this application is to replace the windows, and they are in poor condition. They are original wood windows. However, the assessment again does show that they're in poor condition, and I just have some sample photographs here. Staff are supportive of this project scope due to the condition of the windows. And the windows are proposed to be replaced with aluminum clad windows to match the existing windows. They will be single and double hung operation with a 1/1 appearance. They are inset 4 inches into the wall plane, which is the current inset for the windows. So the proposed window replacement does meet our design guidelines as the windows are severely deteriorated beyond repair, and the proposed replacement windows do match the existing in style and design and are appropriate material. At the December 17th meeting, the commission did discuss the replacement of the porch roof, which is currently an asphalt shingle with a standing seam roof. The historic Sanborn maps do indicate that the roof was originally wood shingle, but the primary roofing material for this structure, as indicated in the Sanborn map, was a standing seam metal roof. So staff are supportive of this alteration as well, based on commission discussion at the December 17th meeting, as standing seam is a common porch roofing material within this historic district. So again, just showing you the site plan and the proposed alterations. The new rear addition will have 2 egress windows on the south elevation. And the prior submittal, one of those egress windows was proposed to be a sliding window that has been revised to a casement window, again, based on discussion at the December 17th meeting. I also do want to point out that the ADU is minimally attached to the proposed rear addition. This is a very narrow 1-story hallway that does have windows on what we would call the east and west side of that elevation. That does help reduce that massing. It's about 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet in length, so it is a very narrow hallway in which that ADU is connected. There is also an in-ground pool. We don't typically look at in-ground pools, just the associated hardscape around that, which will be limestone paving materials. And again, the site wall is proposed to be brick to match the red brick of the primary structure and the proposed ADU. And in the front yard, that low open metal fencing. The site wall is inset from the sidewalk to provide some buffer of along 26th Street per R&O comments. So moving on to the floor plans, here you can see the proposed basement addition where those egress windows are proposed, which again have been modified into casements with a concrete well. So those are in compliance with our design guidelines. In terms of the demolition on the first floor to accommodate the new rear addition, the applicant has also provided clarity in the application materials on that scope. So there is an existing non-historic rear addition on the north side of the property. Again, I don't know if you can see my cursor that well, but in this location here, that will be demolished to accommodate the addition. And then some existing windows and doors will be modified to allow access into the new addition, but the historic wall will remain intact in the corner of the historic house wall as well. The addition does project minimally off the south side beyond the bay of the this cross form. However, the addition is pretty minimal in scale. Again, it is 1 story, and this is only about 10 feet in width here, so it is very minimal in nature. And the addition is set back significantly from the front facade of the property and the street. So it is set back over, I'm just checking my notes here. I believe it is 60 feet. So it is a significant setback from the public right of way. And then the addition will have a standing seam metal roof with skylights that you can see here. The commission did not object to that roofing material or the skylights in the prior submittal for this project. You can also see that really narrow hallway. That is essentially just a stairwell space that connects the ADU and rear addition. Previously, the applicant was proposing a rooftop deck that would involve 10.6% demolition of the roof. We do have a guideline that says do not put a rooftop deck on a historic buildings. So the applicant has revised that project scope to do a new solarium rooftop up-top addition at the rear of the project. This still will involve 10.6% demolition of the existing roof. When we do allow pop-top additions within the city and county of Denver, and our guidelines do require that they be set back 15 feet from the front facade. This addition is set back well over 15 feet from the front facade, and some of our pop-top additions do involve 40% more demolition. So here we can see that the demolition scope is very limited. There are skylights proposed as well, one on the south roof slope, one on the north roof slope, and then some along the flat roof of this hipped roof form. Due to the low profile of the roof, these skylights will have minimal visibility from the public right of way and do meet our guidelines as they're not overwhelming the primary roof form. So here is the front facade and the proposed ADU. The applicant has also significantly restudied the design of the ADU to address commission comments that the ADU did look commercial in nature. So the prior ADU design did have an exterior stair that had a brick screen wall along Champa Street. The applicant has eliminated that exterior stair and moved it into the interior, which has resulted in the elimination of that screen wall that you see here. With the changes to the programming, the applicant was also able to clad the ADU totally in brick. So in the prior submittal, a vertical siding and brick combination was proposed that has been eliminated again. So the ADU is totally clad in a red brick, and this red brick will match the existing brick of the primary structure. The existing structure is an Italianate structure, and it does have typical Italianate features, and the proposed ADU is just a simple interpretation of that architectural style. It is flat roof. We do see flat roof accessory structures within the Curtis Park Historic District, also very popular roof form for accessory dwelling units. It will have casement windows that have tall, narrow proportions similar to the primary structure. And with the elimination of that screen wall, the applicant has added canopy covers to the doors to provide protection for those entries. And then some of the decorative brickwork has also been restudied on the ADU with the changes to the ADU. So moving along, this is the south elevation. Along the south elevation, the applicant was previously proposing to modify this cross bay by adding 2 French doors. That is still proposed in this application. However, the applicant has reduced the width of those openings and has retained the historic decorative header that was previously proposed to be eliminated in the prior application. Again, staff are supportive of this change as it does preserve the appearance of where original windows and openings are. And again, they have reduced some of the demolition scope in this area. Additionally, on the south elevation, 2 new windows are proposed for the front of the home. Staff are supportive of this change as well, as this is on a secondary interior lot facade. It is the south elevation where we get most of our sunlight here in Denver, and the newly proposed windows are differentiated from the original historic windows, so you can tell that they are new additions to the structure. In terms of the rear addition, the applicant has also revised many of the design details on the rear addition. So previously, the applicant was proposing a limestone cladding that has been revised to a brick cladding with a Roman profile. Staff are supportive of this material as it is the same cladding material as the primary structure, but the change in color and profile do help differentiate the addition as new. Additionally, with the placement of the ADU, this addition really does have minimal visibility from the public right of way. As I mentioned, it is significantly set back from the front facade and then also the primary street along Champa Street. The applicant has also revised the design of the windows for the addition. So in the prior submittal, the applicant was proposing to use a 4-light window design. Staff were not supportive of this divided light design. We did discuss with the applicant based on their concerns about having such large expanses of windows and bird strikes that a 4-light design that looks and resembles the classic 2/2 that you often see on this era and vintage of Italianate architecture would be a more compatible design choice. So again, we are supportive of these 4-light casement fixed windows that are proposed for the rear addition because it is compatible with the existing architecture, but does help differentiate the addition from the original structure and is also meeting the applicant's needs that was expressed by them with these large expanses of windows. Here you can see the solarium addition. So the solarium addition will not damage the roof or cornice lines of the existing structure. It is minimally in height above the primary roof, but again, here in Denver, we do allow pop top additions. It does have a hipped roof form to kind of mimic the hipped roof form of the primary structure, and it is proposed to be steel and glass. So a greenhouse structure. And I believe our client will, the applicant will talk more about why specifically he wants that. So here is the north elevation. This facade is largely unaltered on the primary historic structure. The way that the solarium addition has been designed is to inset into the roof to reduce its height, and there will be no alteration to the roof line along the north elevation. Looking at it in elevation, the addition does look a little bit more visible, but once you're at standard height, walking along the sidewalk, really that solarium addition does disappear and it's not very visible. Here you can see the proposed ADU. Again, the casement windows and cladding material of the ADU have been restudied. It does have that canopy entrance that will allow access into that ADU. Staff are supportive of the ADU. We do feel that the changes made to the design do make it more compatible with the primary structure, and we feel that it is appropriate for this site. And then this is just the rear elevation. Previously, this window on the rear addition was proposed to be a sliding window. The applicant has again modified that window to comply with our design guidelines and to be a kind of, I believe it's a fold up kind of awning style window there. And here again, you can see that solarium addition. There is a notch in the roof here in which mechanical equipment will be placed if you're wondering why the addition doesn't fill in that space there, but that is for the placement of mechanical equipment to reduce its visibility from the public right of way. And now I just have some renderings of this project. So here you can see that proposed site wall and the fencing in the front yard, the addition. Here you can minimally see that connector hallway again, which does have those large windows to help reduce that massing there to connect the rear addition and proposed ADU and its relationship to the street. So at this time, staff are recommending approval of this project as we feel that it has undergone a significant alteration to address the comments from staff and the commission at the December 17th meeting.
Okay, Brittany, commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? No? Okay, great. Is our applicant here? Okay. Come on up. You'll have 10 minutes to talk about the project and you can begin with your name, please. Names, plural.
They just turn on the video.
Yeah, if you could turn that on, Seth, that'd be great. And then I have your,
Fly through.
yeah, whenever you wanna do that.
So Seth Donnell, Catalyst Architecture, 1001 North Van Eyck Street. I am Matt Pizzuti. I'm one of the future residents of the building. So yeah, throughout this process, we just wanted to work with staff, to ensure, compliance with the commission's requests, and ensure a project that really fits in with the neighborhood. What we did in our study of a lot of it, you could see revisions in the ADU, was we looked through historic brick detailing, as well as detailing more recently that's been approved by the commission. So we reworked that detailing on the exterior of the building. We really felt that moving the stair to the interior also helped work with creating four-sided architecture. And through that, the footprint of the ADU was actually got a little bit smaller. So to help further prove, I guess, its subservience to the main structure, it got a little bit smaller, moved further to the back of the lot, and kind of helped differentiate it a little bit more. We did have a fly-through video that we wanted to show everyone so that we could see the whole project together as one. So yeah, this is basically pedestrian level as you're walking along 26th Avenue. This is how you would encounter the ADU as you come around and enter the alley. Again, using proportions from the historic structure on the new structure with the windows, ensuring that the new addition, although it does use a different language, it is hidden from the main street and creates an oasis in the backyard. As you can see, as you move up, as more of a bird's eye view, you see the solarium on the top, which is really hidden from the main facades or main street sides, as you come around to the front. And as Brittany was indicating, that addition kind of falls back, especially with the house next door. It's about 60 feet from the main street. Yeah, so the goal was to really, again, restore, preserve what's there, bring it back to life, because a lot of it has fallen into disrepair, and then create an addition that speaks well with the original house, the neighborhood, and kind of covers all the client's needs.
I'll have to see if anybody has any questions. Yeah. We put a lot of thought into this. There's a lot of concerns that we were trying to keep in mind, like we have, you know, ecological concerns about contributing to the neighborhood with places for big trees and attractive landscaping in the front. And you know, there's a big housing crisis going on right now, and I think me and Jeff kind of believe in multi-generational family or housing something as something that we don't see as often anymore, but is important. So that's why we have the ADU. We've tried to create some living spaces in the main house that will have some privacy as well.
And I will say in this walkthrough, we provided some of the ideal landscaping around the ADU and the backyard. Not all the landscaping is included, so it is a bit softer in the front with existing trees and landscaping there. Did you want to talk about why Solari?
Why it's there?
Yeah.
There's many reasons. Initially, we wanted to keep that open, mainly just because I think it's a benefit to the community to have big trees in the yard. I wanted to, in case they shade everything, I wanted a place to grow tomatoes, honestly. And also because the attic is just such a huge dead space with no light. It's the size of a whole floor. So, and with high ceiling, but it's completely dead space. So the goal is to like lighten it up and open it up and make it to a habitable floor.
Gentlemen, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for our applicants?
I have some technical questions, that maybe not are historic preservation related, but on that south side, I don't know if you can stop there, Brittany, or not, but
Maybe.
there's a lot of windows and skylights on that south facing side. And
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you guys consider the heat gain from that, and just the kind of solar glare you're gonna get and receive.
Yes, we have,
some days
so,
a year.
a couple things. First, this is actually the south would be more in the front of the house. It's one of the angled streets, so this is kind of behind. What I do wanna do is well, first of all, we'll probably have doors on the inside so that we can only air condition the main house and then just to close this section off and open the vents because those skylights are vented. And that'll, it'll be as hot as it is outside, but it's not gonna heat the whole house. The same thing with the solarium on the roof. That's planned to be separated from the house in terms of air circulation. Another thing that I'm planning on doing is putting trees along the windows, so they'll shade it in the summer and then we'll actually get some gain in the winter from when they've lost their leaves.
Yeah, we worked with our HVAC consultant who saw that, said the same thing, yeah. So I've been working with him on, how many systems the house needs. That probably needs a dedicated system. We'll likely get a product that has, automatic blinds that can help cover that up a little bit, but it is a consideration.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was just technically speaking is that solarium on the roof, like trying to flash that in with the adjacent roof is gonna be really, really difficult, especially with all the glazing, right? And I just have some concerns, just technically speaking, for, basically putting that box on your roof, because that's gonna be really difficult to detail.
Plan to work with like a prefabricated system, work with their installers to make sure, because they have examples on their website of similarly where it comes down on a sloped roof. So figuring out that detail with them, I agree, will be key.
That's all I had.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, great, gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, since we had public comments before, let's see, Brittany, is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, because Matt is a landscape architect. So I think a lot of times when we talk about landscaping, we don't always know if it's gonna go in, but I feel fairly confident here. But we don't traditionally have purview over that, but I do think it, is an important part of this project consideration for this particular project.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Brittany before we deliberate?
There's nothing about percentage of new fenestrations, is there in the guidelines?
Yeah, we don't have a requirement
A minimum
or a
or
minimum.
maximum? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just a curious question.
All right, Commissioners, then let us go into deliberation. What are your thoughts?
I think it's successful in these concerns that we expressed.
Thank you, Emily.
I think the applicant has done a superior job in meeting our requirements and taking our suggestions to heart. Love the solarium. Good.
No, it's ambitious, and that's all, I think that I would want everything possible that I would want in my house too, right? That's not always reality. So I appreciate the ambition, you guys are getting your dream home. I really, really do appreciate that, but it's ambitious. And so that's my only comment.
I support what's been said. I think the applicant has done a great job.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be gorgeous. All right, do I hear a motion from the commissioners?
I can do it.
Yes, got it.
Madam Chair, I move to approve application 2025-COA-050 for the rehabilitation additions accessory dwelling unit and site work at 2557 South Street as per design guidelines 2.1, 2.19, 2.25, 2.27, 3.4 through 3.7, 3.11, 4.20, 5.2, 5.5, 5.6 character defining features for the Curtis Park Historic District, presented testimony, submitted documentation, information provided in the staff report.
All right, do I hear a second? Emily has seconded it. All right, commissioners, all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? No abstentions. All right, congratulations, good luck. Yeah, it's gonna be gorgeous. All right, let's move on to our second design review project, and that is 2025-COA-050 at 2, oh, whoops, I already did that one. Okay, try this again, 2025-COA-024 at 485 North Lafayette Street in the Dryden Park District, and Jesse is our staff person.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
So this is 485 Lafayette Street. It's currently a vacant lot in the Driving Park Historic District. The applicant is requesting to construct a new 2-story structure and 1-story garage on this lot. The commission reviewed and approved phase 1 mass form and context on October 15th, 2024. The applicant is now seeking approval for phase 2 design details as well as an administrative adjustment for some dormers on the building. Landmark staff are recommending approval of the requests, and I'll use the next few slides to go over our findings. So pictured here is the building's floor plans and roof plan. The new structure will be 37 feet 6 inches by 56 feet 2 inches and will be 29 feet 4¼ inch in height. This does fit within the building, the range of building footprints and heights found in the immediate block context. The building's design draws from the Tudor Revival style houses in the context. The building features a raised foundation with a hipped roof and gables. The main roof will be clad in GAF timberline shingles in the color sagewood, and the bay roof will be Western States metal roofing in a color that's matte black. The building's walls and foundation will be clad in some brick in the color pebble gray. The gable ends and the building's dormers will be clad in 7/8 inch thick stucco, and that has a sand finish in the color creamy, and will have half timbering and brackets, and those will be wood details painted in the color charwood. All materials are of high quality construction and have previously been approved on other infill projects by the commission. The applicant is proposing windows and door proportions, rhythms, and layouts that draw from the Tudor Revival context. The home's entrance will face onto Lafayette Street, and the home will be set back 24 feet 8 inches, fitting in with the typical entrance locations and range of setbacks found on the block. Windows and side doors will be Marvin Elevate fiberglass divided light windows and doors. Divided light windows and doors will be simulated divided lights with a spacer bar. The entry door will be a Sun Mountain wood panel door. Window sills and headers and entry door surround will be Argo cast stone in the color gray. Additional door and window details and compatibility demonstration images can be found in the application materials if you would like to review that. The applicant is proposing to construct a 1-story gable roof garage at the back of the lot. The garage will be 22 feet by 23 feet and will be 16 feet in height. The garage will have an overhead door that faces onto the alley. Garage placement and access conform with the district patterns. Garage roof will be clad in GAF timberline shingles in the color sagewood. Garage walls will be clad in Summit brick in the color pebble gray. Garage windows will be Marvin Elevate fiberglass divided light windows. Garage service door will be a Sun Mountain half light door. And the garage overhead door will be a Clopay modern steel door. Divided light windows and doors, again, on this garage structure will be simulated divided light spacer bar. And then the window sills and headers and for the service door, as well as for the service door, will be the Argo cast stone in the color gray. The site will have, in addition to that, the site will have a 6-foot vertical picket fence. The site will have smooth finish concrete walkways and patios, as well as entry stairs. And then I would also like to note that there's egress window well on the side, and that will, on the site, that will be concrete as well. Exterior lights will be downlight style sconces. All of those are shown here. Next. Finally, the applicant is requesting an administrative adjustment for bulk plane. 2 dormers on the north elevation pierce bulk plane by 3 foot 4 inches. The commission has the ability to provide an administrative adjustment in cases where it feels that compliance with the zoning code would have a detrimental impact on the historic structure or the surrounding context. So staff are supportive of the proposed administrative adjustment, as it would allow the new structure to better fit the context. And then next slide. So pictured here is a 3-dimensional drawing, just so you can get a better idea, as well as a rendering. And you can see what that proposed materials look like and how it's sited. Next slide. So staff are recommending approval with the following basis: that the footprint and placement of the site fits within the immediate block patterns, guideline 4.1 and 4.2. The building form, massing, height, and features fit into the range of building forms, massing, heights, and features found in the block context and district, guidelines 4.3 and 4.4. The building features a simple form and materials that draw from the Tudor revival style structures in the district, but are still recognizable as modern construction, guidelines 4.5 and 4.7. The building's roof form and doors and window proportions and rhythms, as well as their placement, fit within those found in the district. Windows and doors will be inset to the wall minimum of 2 inches, and divided light windows and doors will be simulated divided lights with spacer bars, guidelines 4.6 and 4.8. The garage is located at the back of the lot, is a simple design and features simple materials, and is recognizable as modern construction, citing guidelines 4.18, 4.19, 4.20. The rear yard fence will be a wood 6-foot fence, guideline 5.6, and the exterior lights will be simple lantern style down lights, guideline 5.17.
Nancy, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Jesse? No, I look like it. Okay, great. Jesse, is our applicant here virtually? I can stay here. I don't know why you would just stay there. You may stay, stay. Hi there.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. If you give us your name, we'll give you 10 minutes to talk about the project.
Sounds good. My name's Steve Mason. I'm with Studio 646 Architecture, and we're at 301 Commercial Road in Golden, Colorado. Just have a brief slideshow here to go through our project. Here we're showing just kind of the general context of the site. We're located in the Driving Park Historic District there at 5th and Lafayette, almost on the corner. Here we have a zoomed in also on the bottom left site plan showing the location of the house. We're set back with the block sensitive setback, and showing just some of the landscaping that'll be placed there. And then just a quick overview front of the colors and contrast that we'll be utilizing in the materials that we'll talk about a little bit later. So if we can go to the next page. So here is thought we'd bring up the dormers as our first topic here. So with floor plan design, our bedrooms there on the north side, just trying to meet that egress and keep the form in lines with the Tudor style. We ended up piercing through the bulk plane with those dormers. We did do our best to minimalize those dormer sizes with a single window that meet egress for those 2 bedrooms. So we are asking for a recommendation for that to move forward for an adjustment. It is minimal, like Jesse said. We are 3'4" through the piercing piercing through the top of that. Go ahead and go to the next sheet where we have our materials. Starting from kind of the base going up and utilizing the more modern construction, we went with some gray tones and darker wood stains and black, utilizing that pebble gray brick with cast stone materials for the header and sill, which is placed in that brick field. Then as we go up into the gables, we're utilizing that stucco, and then we have timbers that will be stained to match the fascias. Those timbers are projecting out. We're proposing a 3x8 timber, so there'll be some depth to kind of make that detail pop out a little more. Down at the bay window, we have a metal roof, standing seam metal roof, and then the asphalt shingles for the majority of the home. And then as you look at the entry, we have the same cast stone surround going around the archway that goes towards the door. Continue on the next slide. Now just getting into our details, we just wanted to show how we're creating this arch entry where it will become the cast stone will go back towards that entry door wall. It's set back a few feet, but kind of creating that barrel arch as it returns to the door. The entry also has the lights on the side, which we had the cut sheets of that and images of that, the submittal package. The next sheet has a few more details that we're showing how the timbers there in the gables on the top two left ones, how we're proposing to project those out a few inches from the stucco by using a 3x timber element. Then we have the stucco facade back at the wall. And then we have our wood header condition that happens up in the gables as well below in the bottom right. The cast stone header across there. And then we're just showing the depth and how it shows those windows are set back on some of those details. And I think that was it. Just wanted to point out those few things, so I'm available for any questions.
Great, thanks, Steve. Commissioners, do you have any questions for our applicant? Well, it looks like you're off the hook. All right.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
terrific. Sure, absolutely. Before we deliberate, commissioners, do you have any other questions for our staff, or do you have any? Okay, then let us go into deliberation. What are your thoughts on this? Nick?
I would just say that, as expected, given the first round of review, the materials selections seem to fit. And I agree with staff and support the application.
Thank you, Nick.
Two beautiful designs in one day, wow. I can certainly approve of this, and I think it looks, at first I was worried about recreation of history. But in better explanation of the materials and the neighborhood pictures, I can support it.
Okay, cool. Anybody else comment?
And the dormers are fine.
Okay, all right. Then do I hear a motion? This is 2 and 1 because of the administrative adjustment. I think Emily's getting ready to do it.
Oh, I mean, someone else wants to.
Oh, no, go for it.
I move to approve application 2025 COA 24 for the new construction at 485 North Lafayette Street as per design guidelines 4.1 through 4.8, 4.15, 4.18 to 4.20, 5.6, 5.17, character defining features for the Driving Part Historic District, presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report. I move that the Landmark Preservation Commission find that conforming with the zoning standard for bulk plain would have an adverse impact on the historic character of the Driving Part Historic District for the proposed dormers for section 12.4.5.2B of the Denver zoning code for the application 2025 COA-024 at 485 North Lafayette Street.
Emily, thank you. Do I hear a second? George has seconded it. Thank you, George. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, congratulations, Steve. You're on your way. All right, Jesse, is our staff person for our next project, which is 2025-COA-025 at 2101 East Fourth Avenue in the Country Club District.
So this is 2101 East Fourth Avenue. This building was constructed in 1952 and is a non-contributing building to the Country Club Historic District. The applicant is proposing to demolish the non-contributing structure on the lot and construct a new two-story residential structure with an attached garage and a one-story detached pool house on the site. Staff are recommending denial of the application, and I'll use the next few slides to go over our findings. So the structure will have an irregular footprint with an overall footprint size of 72 feet 8 inches by 96 feet 8 inches, fitting in with the range of building footprint sizes in the immediate block context. The building will have a setback of 44 feet 2 inches. That also fits in with the setback, a range of setbacks in the immediate block context. Next slide. So the building's design also draws from the Tudor Revival style houses in the historic district and features an asymmetrical form with a central entrance. The home has a combination of gable and hip roof forms typical of Tudor Revival style houses. While irregular footprints, asymmetrical facades, and combinations of roof forms are common to the Tudor Revival style, staff do have concerns over the prominence of the southwest one-story gable bump out and patio, as it is forward of the main entrance, approximately 4 feet 10 inches, and features patio doors and stairs. Staff feel that the southwest bump out should be set back and the roof better integrated into the main roof form, and or the openings altered so that it does not detract from the primary entrance. So the dashed lines on the photos illustrate staff's concerns. The blue dash box on the proposed house shows the bump out that is forward of that main entrance and is not integrated into the main roof ridge, and features secondary doors that we feel detract from the main entrance. The context examples do show that there are wall bump outs that are either coplanar or forward of the entry doors, but in each of these cases, the bump outs feature windows that relate to the windows on the second floor, and the bump outs are integrated into that overall main roof form of the building. Additional elevation drawings and context images can be found in the application materials if you want to review those. Next slide. So the building features tall, narrow window openings at the first and second floor and a central entry door with a Tudor arch. Staff feel that the window proportions and rhythms at the second floor and the entry door draw from the Tudor Revival context, but do have concern over the large wall of windows and doors on the first floor front elevation. Staff feel that the openings at the first floor do not fit the historic context, draw focus away from the central entry, and create large void spaces on the facade. Staff are particularly concerned with the doors, stairs, and patio area on the southwest one-story gable bump out, as it creates a second entrance that is forward of the primary entrance and draws focus away from that central primary entrance. Staff feel that the solid to void ratio, proportions, and rhythms of the openings at the first floor should be restudied so that they better fit the context. The dashed lines on the photo illustrate some of staff's concerns. The blue dash box on the proposed house shows a central entrance, contextual second floor windows, but disproportionate first floor openings. The context examples show tall, narrow window proportions, mostly paired or triple casement style windows, alignment between the first and second floor, and a proportional relationship between the windows on the first and second floor. So even if it is an asymmetrical layout of those openings between the first and second floor, there is an established rhythm on each of these historic buildings. Next slide. The home features an attached garage on the southeast side of the home. Attached garages are common to the Country Club Historic District and can be found on several Tudor Revival style structures in this district. The applicants have set the attached garage back from the front wall of the home approximately 6 feet 10 inches, allowing the garage to be subordinate, to be a subordinate feature that does not detract from the main structure. Staff agree with the R&O's recommendation, which can be found in the application materials, that the driveway should be scaled down so that it better fits in with other driveway layouts in the context. However, this is an item that would probably be reviewed under phase 2. It's just something that we're putting out there as a friendly comment. The applicant is proposing to construct a 1-story gable roof pool house structure on the northeast corner of the lot. The structure will be 16 feet 5 inches by 23 feet and will be 16 feet 9 inches in height. The structure will be open, so it won't have any walls. It will be all open and will function more as a covered patio area. The pool house will not be visible from public vantage points. And we'll go to the next slide. So here are some 3-dimensional drawings of that proposed building. Next slide. And here are some renderings of the proposed buildings, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Final slide. So staff is recommending denial of the application with the following basis: that the building footprint and placement on the site fits with the immediate block patterns guidelines B2, 4.1, and 4.2. The building form, mass, height, and features mostly fit into the range of building forms, mass, heights, features found on the block and in the district, but steps should be taken to better integrate the southwest bump out into the overall form. Guideline D1, D3, 4.4, and 4.5. The roof features a combination of hips and gables commonly found in the Tudor Revival style buildings in the context. However, the roof on the southwest bump out should again be integrated into that main form. Guidelines D4, D5, and 4.6. The building is recognizable as a modern infill, but the applicant should work on better integrating the southwest bump out and restudy the first floor windows on the southwest and southeast gable ends so that the new structure better fits into the surrounding context. Guideline 4.5. The home's entry is clearly defined and the windows at the second floor feature rhythms and proportions typical of Tudor Revival style buildings. The openings at the first floor, particularly the southwest and southeast gable ends, do not feature rhythms and proportions that fit the context. Additionally, the use of patio doors on the southwest bump out draw focus away from the primary entrance. Guidelines F1 through F3, 4.3, and 4.8. Finally, the attached garage is set back and is subordinate to the primary structure, and the pool house is located at the back of the lot where it will not be visible from public vantage points, and both are subordinate to the primary structure. Guidelines 4.18 and 4.19.
Jesse, thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Okay, great. All right, our applicants here. Come on up to the table, give us your name, and you'll have 2 minutes to talk about the project.
My name is Carlos Alvarez from Alvarez Morris Architecture, and I'm here representing the client as well. I'm not quite sure if she mentioned that we did meet also with the neighborhood board. They seem to be supportive of the design. We have gone through a lot of iterations in the design. We thought it was a good time to just bring it in for the staff and the board comments. Historically, I feel like we've done this before and go through the same process and protocol. We listen to all of the comments from staff that we think are helpful. We have changed the design multiple times. We had the neighborhood make some comments that were also very helpful. We made some changes to the design. I don't know what happened from a timing perspective, but we got the report and I didn't have enough time to resubmit prior to this
meeting, but we have made some changes to that southwest corner. By pushing it back a little bit and the front entrance forward. I know that that's not what's represented here. But the bottom line of being here is the fact that, as we have done in the past, we always challenge the comment about the window openings and sizes. We think that by keeping the massing in relationship to the Tudor style, we think that that's sufficient to be friendly with the neighborhood, but we think we need a differentiation that allows us to understand that the time is today, it's not 100 years ago. And we have historically been doing that by, overemphasizing the size of the openings. So in all honesty, we're just here to hear everybody's opinion on that and see what needs to happen next. And also in regards to the comment of the continuation of the western volume and tying it back to the roof, the main roof, we had tried that proportionally. It seemed like it wasn't working. It was actually making the building too big. The main roof got really big, so we thought, we didn't mind it this way. So again, in all honesty, right now, we're just like on the final directive from the board and see if we need to make additional changes or not.
All right, that's fair. Commissioners, questions for our applicant?
How did you said you kind of reformed that southwest mass to integrate with the roof, and how did you go about doing that? Did you push it in closer, or did you like?
So, can we go back to this, to the prior one?
Whichever.
That's the one that you had on the screen, that rendering. So what we've done is we've pushed this volume forward and this one backward, so it's not prominent of it.
You mentioned the roof got blown out of proportion when you tried to mess with that southwest.
Yeah, if I was understanding correctly, in a lot of the Tudor homes, all of the roofs end up blending into the main roof. So if this continued upward and this continued to the side, it would have just substantially made it larger. And I think in perspective, you don't visualize that. If anything else, like, and again, to do it more gently, so that this volume would have merged to that volume, this would have gotten too small. So it's just playing a little bit of proportional game right there.
So Carlos, are the doors on the southwest bump a critical part of the?
No, that's the part that, in all honesty, you very well know this since you're a neighbor. The setbacks on that street are so big that being an office space, we were thinking that something could happen in the front, right? But on the latest design that I have here, and again, I know that it cannot be heard that, we did change the accessibility and the doors and made it more like a window. The volume didn't change, but the axis of it, I understand how it detracts a little bit from here to here. So we took off the axis and minimized the approach of it. So it's not imperative, but the setback is so intense that you wish you had like a little hangout space in the front.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, no more questions. Carlos, thank you very much. All right, staff, did you have any additional comments before we deliberate? There, thank you.
Happy to share.
Yes, if you don't mind. I don't know if it's strictly necessary. So my follow-up would be that there are many ways to approach better integration of that southwest bump out into the main roof form. We see on this existing structure a hipped roof garage that's attached to the side of the building. They could do a side gable. You see in several of these historic structures where there's a side facing gable. So there are many different ways that you could approach that would not create a massive roof, overarching roof form, and would help to integrate this into the overall design. As for the windows at the first floor, staff felt that these windows might work well on a secondary elevation where they're not as readily visible from the street. But as far as fitting into the context, they needed to find windows at the first floor that are more proportional and have rhythms that, you know, marry with the second floor rhythms. And fit better into the context. So it's not saying that they couldn't use that office space and have a large patio area, but it may be better served on the back of the house or the side of the house where it's not as readily visible and it's not interrupting this building's integration into the historic context.
Also, the reason why we're not reviewing changes is because we do have a 4-week filing deadline in which we as staff evaluate the project against our design guidelines. And then a week prior to the meeting, we post all the materials on our website with our staff recommendation for the commission to review. And unfortunately, the changes were just too late for us to assess them during this meeting.
Sure. Okay, any other questions for Jesse? Or Chris?
Do we have an option to continue, or is it just denial and then go to the next iteration?
Certainly, I would look at our attorneys. I believe that is always an option. It's always to a date certain.
I guess it doesn't really matter though, does it, one way or the other?
Sometimes it's cleaner to do a straight denial. Sometimes it's more helpful to do, like, if you don't have enough information, that's when
I do want to clarify, if you feel that you have enough information to assess this application at this time, that should be a motion for denial, approval with conditions. If you feel like you don't have enough information, a continuance is where it is, should be. Continuances really should be used when you don't have that information to review it. Even if the commission denies it, that doesn't mean the application is dead in the water and we can't look at it again. So that's really the distinction there.
Thanks for the clarification.
Anything else for staff? Jesse, thank you. All right, then commissioners, let us go into deliberations. Okay.
I would just like to say that I appreciate staff's work on this. In this particular instance, I don't see this as a miss, and I can move to approve it as it is. The only condition I would put on it is the driveway as it abuts the front of the house. But even with the different protrusions of the various wings, whether it's one's up or one's back, I think the overall language of the thing is right. And then this is a particularly quirky part of this historic district, which I walk frequently, and the masses are varied. The architecture is varied, and I don't think that this application does anything to take away, but only adds to the uniqueness of this particular street.
Okay. You're okay with
Anxious to-
windows? The
Yeah,
windows?
I'm anxious to hear what everybody else has to say, but let's not belabor this.
Okay, cool. Anybody else, Chris?
I don't really take any particular exception to the windows either. I do think that there is a valid argument for, you know, having that historic look with some modern takes or elements on it, which includes the windows. And I know that that's a very modern feature in most homes these days, or newer homes these days, is large openings. So I don't really take an exception to that necessarily. The bump out on the southwest corner is a little bit odd in my opinion, and doesn't really meet well with the rest of the roof lines. And I could see where staff would have, you know, some drawbacks on that, or at least some hesitation, I guess is the right word to use. So I totally understand that. I don't know how, I don't know where I stand, honestly, sorry, it's kind of a.
Would you
Like,
feel more comfortable if you saw the updated plans to see exactly?
I don't know that those necessarily address that roof line from what it was. I think Nick makes a good point that, you know, it probably fits well within the neighborhood. But that's just my 2 cents.
All right,
So I do live 2 houses to the west. Yeah, and hadn't thought about it until just this moment, but I also have 3 pairs of doors facing 4th Avenue. My house sits on a 45-degree cant, so it's different, but it's a very eclectic block. And I don't feel like the proposed design would be out of place. I don't think it would be wrong.
I'm concerned with like staff that the entrance is kind of overshadowed by the southwest bump out. And I'm also kind of really concerned that the plan we're looking at is not what we're gonna be voting on. I would go for a continuance, but not an approval as shown.
Okay, all right, Emily. Thoughts?
I would like to see the restudied option.
Okay. So what do you recommend, Brittany? Should we?
Yeah,
So-
I'll just say I support what they said. It would nice to see the updated
Yeah,
version.
I think so too, actually, yeah, so that we know exactly what we're voting
What
on.
we're voting on, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so should we do a continuance with the date certain,
I mean,
or what would you prefer? Nate,
Yeah.
do you have any preference?
So you would be voting on what has been proposed and is on the website.
yeah,
For the
that's what I
both
was
in the
gonna
public
say.
and Jen, I don't know
So,
for staff.
so a denial then is probably the cleaner?
Because you can review that as, that is not something you have information on, even though
Correct.
it's been alluded to in this meeting.
Correct.
So I would recommend denial for this because you need to take action on what's in front of you today.
Okay, and then the applicant would then come back with us with the updated plans.
Or you could also approval or conditional approval if that's so decided.
Yeah, I don't know what we would condition it with.
Yeah, I know, I don't either, since we don't,
Don't want
I also
We-
said
we-
that
to be prescriptive on that.
we have a concept, but.
the overwhelming majority of me, I was hearing, would like to see a revised design, which is why I said denial.
Like I said, a concept, but not a plan. All right, then, let's go ahead and take a vote. Commissioners, do I hear a motion? from the floor? George,
Madam Chair, I vote to deny application 2025-COA-025 for the Phase 1 mass forming contacts 2101 East Fourth Avenue as per design guidelines D1 through D5, F1 through F3, 4.1.4 through 4.1 through 4.6, 4.8, 4.18, and 4.19, character defining features for Country Club Historic District, presented testimony and submitted documentation, information provided in staff.
do I hear a second? Emily has seconded. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nick is opposed. All right, so it has been denied, but it sounds like you're really close. Come back to us with the updated plan so that we have something to actually look at and approve.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carla.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next we have a discussion item. And it's Jennifer Pepetto, 2024 year in review. Oh, I'm going to read the process now, discussion items. These are informational items or items for commission to discuss without action. The chair will announce the discussion item on the agenda. The staff will introduce the information item or item for discussion. The commission will discuss amongst themselves and the staff, and no actions or votes will be taken for discussion items. Take it away, Jen.
Can't turn on the video because it says that the host has stopped it.
Oh, that host.
I did stop it, sorry.
Okay. I have no control over the host, Jen.
She's out of control.
She's out of control.
I think Taylor's allowing you to.
Taylor's
Thank
taking
you.
control.
Awesome. Okay, well, you go ahead and move the slides. Do I have control over the slides?
I can give you control.
Whatever.
It doesn't always work.
Yeah, I know. Awesome. Well, I always like to do a year in review at the beginning of the year. I know that it's not always thing. You click to start. I might have done that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I always like to do this at the beginning of the year, and for us, that usually means the first meeting in February, just because it takes a while to get this stuff together. But wanted to let you know about what we did last year as staff and the commission. So we ended with 60 historic districts and 365 individual landmarks, one for each day of the year. We have 3 new ones that you all voted on that are up here on the screen.
and then the University Park Historic District, which you also voted on the screen as well. So we did a bunch of planning and regulatory projects this year. Our big one was the American Indian and Indigenous Peoples Historic Context. We staffed the Denver March Powwow in March. We had a table there. We also hosted a tribal convening in October in which we invited around more than a dozen, I think maybe around 15 representatives of tribes whose ancestral homeland is Denver to come and talk to us about important places in Denver and important things about Denver that should be preserved. We also were collecting oral histories with our consultant team, had an advisory committee and roundtable discussions with a lot of folks from the Indigenous community living here in Denver, as well as people elsewhere. We are working on our design guideline update phase 2. That is something that I think we have shared with you all. It's been a while. We've doing a lot of internal work on it, but we anticipate getting that to you all soon. So that's good. Phase 5 of Discover Denver was completed last year, and we're working on phase 6. That is a partnership between us and Historic Denver to do a citywide building survey. And phase 6 is, let's see, we are in, that's gonna kill me. Phase 5, well, anyway, we were doing the 5 points, Cole, Whittier, and that area. There were 4 neighborhoods up there. We were also doing the area around Westwood and so Barnum West.
Oh, Sunnyside?
No, we've already done Sunnyside. Yeah, so I don't have a map of it, but I can share it with you at some point. My bad. I was not prepared for that part. The Spear Cherry Creek study is a internal study that we've been doing as community planning and development to look at how Spear and Cherry Creek interact and whether there could be any gateway changes there. What is the history of that area? What are the historic districts? What are the overlapping or adjacent regulatory processes in that area? So that wrapped up last year. And then we have designation customer guides. This is something that Becca was working on for quite a long time, and I know that she brought to you all for adoption. So those are now adopted and good. In terms of design review and applicant-driven work, we did 1,925 total applications last year. It shows 150 commission reviews. You all looked at more than that, and I will share a slide with you later about that. But most of our reviews are administrative. What I really wanted to show you all is that we had more design review projects in 2024 than we ever have. So every year goes up, except for the last 2 years went down a little, and then we just rocketed back up. So we are short-staffed, we are scrambling, we're doing everything we can to get things out the door as quickly as possible. And the numbers here show that we are very much overloaded, unfortunately. The breakdown, so we had about the same number of administrative projects last year as we did in previous years. We had fewer design review that were non-tax credit design review projects, and we had many more quick reviews. Those are almost entirely roofing projects because there was so much hail in our historic districts last year, and so we are supposed to be turning those around within a day or two, and so we pretty much drop everything when they come in and get them out the door, and there were times that we were getting 10 a day. So demo review is down, was down last year. So we saw 350 total demo or certificate of demolition eligibility applications. That is lower than in many years. We started doing demolition reviews in 2012, I believe, and so our numbers are pretty low this year. And I attribute that to interest rates being so high that people haven't been buying properties for demolition purposes. There's a lot more rehab happening, I think. The slide doesn't show it, it's really faint, but we posted, so of those demolitions that came in,
98.3% were approved within 10 business days. 1.7% were found to have potential to be landmarks, and we posted notice of those on those properties. Of those 6 applications that came in that were had potential to be landmarks, none of them were ones that came through for a designation. They were all ones that we posted notice of. There might have been a public process with the community to talk about potential for not demolishing or not designating the property, some other solution. And that's the goal of this process, is to talk about what opportunities there might be. Tax credits, the big one for us, as you all very well know. We have had more tax credit applications, smaller numbers of dollar spent, but more volume of applications themselves this year than I think we ever have. So we have over $160,000 in tax credits that you all have certified, and that doesn't include the ones that you certified today. So thank you for that. You can see the number of tax credit dollars that were certified in 2022 was the highest ever. That was largely, we think, because people were at home during the pandemic and were doing work in their homes. And there were a few very large projects. This year is the opposite, where it's a lot of really small projects like roofs or mechanicals or things like that. So it's kind of an interesting twist on things. So again, what goes to the commission? You all know this, but for the public who may be listening, design review projects go to you all, and that is what we were counting in the design review 150 projects that go to you all. The tax credits, designations, demos, and historic districts and the economic hardships are also projects that go to you all. So your numbers are going to be slightly different from what you saw at the design review numbers. That's why I have that preface in here. So we have, we always compare what staff recommends and what you all vote on, not to see whether you are voting in lockstep with us. It is to see whether we are following along with what we think you all are going to say. If we are very far off, if say we were recommending approval and you all were voting denial for the majority of the things, we're definitely off. So you can see here, we're pretty much consistent with what you all have been saying. There's some variation, but that's normal. And so that's good for us because it tells us that we've been giving our customers the best advice as to how to navigate through the commission review process. So you reviewed 170 projects last year. Again, that's in addition to the design total. So Lower Downtown Design Review Commission, again, we compare, the staff is very consistent with the commission as well in this regard. There are very fewer number of projects that go to the Lower Downtown Design Review Commission, but they also are very active, and I'll be presenting this to them on Thursday morning. So a few more slides, community engagement events. We had a booth at the Denver March Powwow. We also were involved with Eduporium, which is community engagement projects, the tribal convening I mentioned that we hosted. We've also been active with the Colorado Preservation Conference, doing presentations there, the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions conference and webinars that they host. Docomomo, Colorado, we presented at the Denver Level Buildings Expo. We had a table to answer questions for the public. We've also guest taught at University of Colorado Denver courses, and spoken to the Historic Denver Realtor Seminar. So lots of stuff going on behind the scenes that you all may not be aware of. Some administrative projects we've worked on in 2024, and some that will be continuing into 2025. We updated the quick review application to expand what would be allowed, so people can do simpler projects and get those out the door faster. We also established a more comprehensive intake process, thanks to Amy. We established a tax credit pre-application process so that the applications that you all are getting and we are getting for review initially are actually high quality applications and meet the standards, as opposed to projects that come to us fully baked and are completed projects and don't meet the standards at all. We get many fewer of those because you have to submit a pre-app and we have to have a conversation about what qualifies and what doesn't. So that's actually helping in the long run. It's a lot of work, but it's important work, and we're having happier customers as a result. We've also refined the administrative adjustment process, which I know you all do a lot of those administrative adjustment recommendations. And so that was a lot of work on staff's part to try to really streamline that process for our customers. And then things that are in process and haven't been done yet, or we will continue into this year. So we have these cute little postcards that say, welcome to your, congratulations on your recent purchase of a historic property. And we started sending those out to new property owners in historic districts and individual landmarks at the end of last year. I sent some out in November, and then, November, and then there was a gap in the data, and then had 170 of them that went out in January. We'll continue to do that later today, for the January transfers. And then we're working on simultaneous reviews with the residential team. So right now, the way it works is that Landmark is the first step. And then once we approve something, they can submit for a permit. We're hoping to streamline that and have simultaneous reviews so people could do a one-stop shop. We're also doing a lot of back-end work with our permitting system, which is Acela, where people right now, the only way people can get a Landmark review is if they email us the information, and then Landmark staff types it in. That's usually me and Amy doing that. And we're gonna have that go all through e-permitting. So it will be the public the applicant will submit everything to us directly through the permitting system, as opposed to through email, which is great. So hopefully that'll happen this spring, early summer. And a couple more hiring. So Amy joined our team as the design review supervisor in January last year. Andrew was promoted to to associate planner at the end of last year as well. And then we have 2 current vacancies. So the permit review technician, that is our administrative person, we've been out for the whole year. And the staff planner, which is backfilling Andrew's position, has been vacant for since December. But before that, Bridget left us in June, and we backfilled her position with Andrew's. Some vacancies on the team. And then what are we doing this year? The most exciting stuff. So we're going to be finalizing the American Indian and Indigenous Peoples of Color Context project. We have grant funding, and that will be done at the end of this year. We are also hoping that the commission will adopt phase 2 of the design guidelines. So we have an internal review draft of the proposed window guidelines that we're reviewing internally right now. We will send that out for public review soon, and then the next step also is accessory dwelling units. That is still in the drafting phase, and we hope to have windows to you all sometime second quarter probably, and ADUs second, third quarter kind of thing. So we'll have a couple of processes there.
We're also redesigning the entire document.
Yes.
I don't know if you said that.
I didn't say that. I
Don't
didn't
know
know
a
the
little.
timing of it. So yes, Brittany has worked with a graphic designer to do a full redesign of the document, modernize it, make it more accessible, things like that. So it's great. And that all will have to be adopted by you all, because we can't just make changes to it to make it look pretty and put it on the website. It has to be adopted by you all. So as rules and regs. So we are trying to make process improvement for enforcement cases and neglected and derelict buildings. There are so many of them. Yeah, so many of these processes are properties right now. And part of the improvements is to get the postcards out so that within hopefully a month or 2 of someone buying it, they know that they're in a historic district, even though it's supposed to be in the title work. But also some process improvements that Amy is working on with the zoning and neighborhood inspections team. And Jesse as well. And then finalization of the simultaneous review with the residential team, and then hopefully moving into commercial as well. So that is it. That's what I got for you all.
Jen.
We're not busy at all.
What are you doing in your spare time? Commissioners, do you have any questions for Jen or comments?
I thank you for this extensive amount of work. I'm glad that the Indigenous peoples' perspective is being actively solicited, because that's vital. I also am really excited about the postcards, because I think that's a proactive and
Yeah,
preventative.
that's great.
which is
That's
really
really good.
great.
Yeah.
And also, I think that we all agree that the neglected buildings process, you know, we've seen that being an issue, and I'm really
It's been neglected.
yeah. I will say that I'm wondering, you know, with this entire process with the design guidelines, I would just say, is there any way to say regulation instead of guidelines? Because I feel like that's confusing, you know, from just a word choice.
Brittany's writing that down.
Because, you know, I've just been talking to people in this role.
If it's just a guideline, then why do
Exactly,
you
then
have
it's
to follow
not
it?
prescriptive or legal.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Regulation's a tough one too, right?
Or just an assessment of that word choice, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Call them suggestions.
Yeah,
Passive aggressive suggestion.
I think a lot of people don't realize that it is a legal standing.
yeah, these are our rules and regulations.
Even that, compared to the guideline. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
Snap will accept free coffee and cookies.
No. You don't.
Well, raises, can we approve some raises
Yeah,
instead?
that'd be great. We could, yeah. We could recommend them. Did I hear a motion from the committee?
I would appreciate if you email the mayor and be like, we need to fill these vacant positions.
Yes, that is much more.
That would feel like a raise, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would.
Yeah, I know. That issue is everywhere.
Yeah.
Anybody else for Jen? Jen, thank you. You guys are awesome. Terrific to work with, and the amount of work you do is.
We appreciate y'all.
Yep. So, all right, okay. If there aren't any further comments, are there any other discussion items, anything that you wanted to say? All right, then I am going to adjourn the meeting, and it is 2:35.